You know, results are still coming in for the primary election. The next ballot drop expected about 4 p.m. today, but there are already some pretty huge surprises in early returns.
Q13 political correspondent Brandi Kruse is here. The Seattle City Attorney's race still too close to call, but pretty interesting. I mean, all three candidates neck and neck.
Yeah, and we billed it as one of the most important races happening in the state on Tuesday. I would argue it's lived up to sort of the hype around it. And yeah, way too close to call. Three candidates who are just right in line. Let's just take a look at the numbers as they stand right now in this race. So Ann Davison, and this is really the story of the night for me. Ann Davison ahead with 35% of the vote as a Republican. I mean, it's a nonpartisan race, so it doesn't say R or D next to these candidates, but she ran as a Republican. And in Seattle, to be doing that well as a Republican is basically unheard of. Nicole Thomas Kennedy, who's on the other end of the political spectrum, she's a police abolitionist. She has 32%, and then three-term incumbent Pete Holmes has 33% of the vote. And again, there's still ballots to be counted. Any two of these candidates can move ahead to November, but we talked to Ann last night just about how well she did in the primary.
It's showing that we can have both compassion and safety when we all come together, and that's kind of the main message that I am happy to bring forward, and that it seems to be what a lot of people are wanting to hear.
And really, it reflects a desire, at least among a certain set of Seattle voters, to have more aggressive prosecutions as it pertains to misdemeanors, as it pertains to repeat offenders. But again, and I would caution this, you know, we always see progressive candidates do a little bit better in late returns, and that's because younger voters tend to drop off their ballots a little bit later. So it is very possible that Ann Davison still gets pushed out of the general election, and that Pete Holmes and the other challenger, Nicole Thomas Kennedy, move forward. But again, just as a Republican, not something you see very often in Seattle, indicative of maybe the state of things, because moderates in general tended to do pretty well last night in races across the board in Seattle.
I noticed that, and you're right. The city attorney's race, it definitely caught my eye when I saw some of those numbers this morning. But let's also talk about the Seattle mayoral race. There were, what, 12?
15
candidates to choose from. So any surprises here?
No, the two people we thought would move forward look like they're going to move forward. Former Seattle City Council President Bruce Harrell, current Seattle City Council President Lorena Gonzalez. Here are the latest numbers there. But Bruce Harrell, again, a little more moderate, doing better. 38% of the vote to Lorena Gonzalez is 29% of the vote. We spoke to both those candidates at their return parties last night.
Because I really think it's important for us to send a strong message to the people of the city that we're ready to focus on policy and not on politics.
I just want to get the work done. So I think that what cuts across all demographics, all neighborhoods, affluent, less affluent, effective public safety, jobs, strong educational policies.
So what's really going to be important here for both of those candidates is to try to coalesce support. So you had 13 other candidates who are not going to move ahead to the general election, some of them more moderate, some of them more progressive. And so they're going to need to be on the phone to those candidates, trying to get them on their team and thus hopefully get their voters on their team to try to coalesce all those votes. And in fact, that's something we spoke to Lorena Gonzalez last night, asked her what her plan was moving forward. And she said one of the first things she was going to do is be on the phone to other candidates. You know, she didn't say to get their supporters, but she said to congratulate them and thank them for running. So that's, I think, the tactic moving ahead is rounding up all the other support and the votes.
Well, the next ballot drop, as we mentioned, about 4 o'clock today. So we'll see if anything changes.
Yep.
Brandi, thanks.
And we're also tracking some of the other key races in our region. Everett Mayor Cassie Franklin seems well on her way to the November general election. 76% of the vote there. She'll likely face Steve Oss in November.
Well, also, let's talk about the mayor of Tacoma, Victoria Woodards, with a pretty strong lead right now in the primary with 53% of the vote. She has been mayor since 2018, and then Steve Haverly in second right now with 34% of the vote. So King County's bid to boost the Best Starts for Kids levy, that also has a strong lead this morning. 59% of voters agreeing to renew that, which would collect $872 million over 6 years to spend on child care, youth criminal justice, early childhood programs. The levy would cost about $113 a year for a median-priced home in King County.